I've been trying to figure out what I wanted to say in this video. What I wanted to say about Alexander Volkanovski coming back after the two worst losses in his career and having the performance that he did against Diego Lopez, winning back his featherweight championship. I just I didn't know where I wanted to begin. I didn't know how to put in words like why that fight got me and why Volkanovski is one of the greatest fighters, one of the greatest ambassadors that MMA has ever had. And you first have to go back to when he won the belt, right? When he went up and fought Max Holloway. After Max Holloway knocked out Jose Aldo twice. And Max Holloway in his own right is a top four featherweight of all time. Um, if it wasn't for Volkanovski, Max Holloway probably would have held that belt around the same time that Jose Aldo did. I think he would have gone through absolutely everybody up until Ilya Taporia. And he did. The only fighter that Max Holloway lost to, well, Dustin Poirier. But when Max Holloway was in his prime at featherweight, he's still in his prime, but he's at lightweight. He, there was only one guy that he couldn't beat. And many people believe that Max Holloway won at least one of those fights. Many people thought Max won the first. Many people thought that Max won the second. I know some people thought Max won the third too. The third one was clearly Volkanovski, in my opinion. That one was more definitive. It was a really good performance by Volkanovski. But I mean, for a guy that started off as a rugby player who's over 200 pounds to trying to find your footing in MMA, trying to find out which weight class you belong in, and to still dominate majority of your fights. Like as I do in all my videos, I pulled up Tapology. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. There we go. So I like Tapology. Probably the best um, website as far as looking at people's records, stats, and all of that. Like, you look at somebody like Volkanovski, who started off in 2012, right into a professional debut, won his first fight by decision, won his second fight by TKO. Then, I guess, this is his, um, I, why doesn't it say how he, like, what round? Anyways, then he gets to Anton Zafar, TKOs him in the fourth round. Then this loss to Corey Nelson, he got head kicked in the third round. What weight class is he in? Welterweight. So oh yeah, I say this was his only loss, was a TKO loss at welterweight, and then gets another TKO win, first round guillotine, first round TKO, wins the belt at which we're I'm not sure. Rochambeau says it right there. Beats Cal Reyes by decision at PXC. TKO's Dave Barda Long Gun Wars. Um, get your first round knockout over James Bishop at Australian FC. And then you see fourth round triangle, first round TKO, first round TKO, first round TKO. Then he makes it into the UFC in 2017. Was supposed to fight Mikhail Quinones, ends up fighting Mizuki Hirota in his first fight and on June 10th, 2017. Wins that fight by unanimous decision. Beats Shin Young by unanimous decision in November. Comes in February 2018. TKO's Jeremy Kennedy. Beats Darren Elkins by unanimous decision. We all know Darren Elkins is a veteran. Just fought this weekend against Julian Erosa. Yeah. Then he fights Chad Mendes again. Chad Mendes was a beast. Um, this is when Chad Mendes went on a bit of a losing streak, but he TKO'd him in the second round. Then he fights Jose Aldo again, at the time the greatest featherweight of all time. Beats him by unanimous decision. Then you get to UFC 245. He is facing Max Holloway. And Max Holloway at this point, it's Max Holloway. It isn't Maximus Holloway. Maximus Holloway is brand new, and we're gonna see how he does in his second lightweight fight. Well, I know he had the one against Poirier, but you know what I mean. Has a really close fight with Max Holloway. Many, like again, these Max Holloway fights are so contested in the MMA community. You're never gonna find many people that agree completely on who won which fight, except the third fight. Third fight, I feel most people uh, saw Volkanovski won that, but he beats Max at 245. Really a close fight. I I thought he won this fight. Yeah, I thought he won this fight when I was watching this live. I haven't really gone back and watched this fight many times, probably like 3 or 4. Um, but it was a really close fight. Then you get to the second fight, and this one I believe that Max Holloway won. Again I forgot which round it was, but in my opinion, Max Holloway was landing the better combinations. He was backing up Volkanovski a lot in this fight, and he was defending takedowns well. But he ended up winning that fight. Went on to fight Brian Ortega, was supposed to happen in March, ended up happening in September, and this was the fight that made Volkanovski infamous. The clip of Volkanovski staying in that triangle against Brian Ortega, who is probably one of the scariest submission specialists we have ever seen in featherweight. He sat in that guillotine for 2 minutes, I believe, and he toughed it out. Didn't tap, didn't fade out, and then he comes back, wins the fight by unanimous decision. That is, those are the fights that. That's the difference between being a great champion and being a legend. When you're able to fight adversity the way that Volkanovski does and come back and win the fight. Apart from that choke, I think he won absolutely every second of that fight. And then he goes against Korean Zombie. TKOs him in the fourth round. And Korean Zombie, fan favorite, was on a good run at the time. Then you got the third Max fight. And the third Max fight, shut up. The third Max fight, That one was more decisively Volkanovski. That one, to me, was unanimous, and he fought one hell of a fight. And the thing with these three fights was this was 1A and 1B fighting each other. There were no other people in featherweight that could beat these guys up until Ilya Topuria, which we're gonna get to. That's what made the Max Holloway trilogy so special. And then he ends up going and facing Islam Makhachev. Goes and tries to become a double champion, tries to defeat Islam Makhachev, Khabib's predecessor. And going into this fight, these two were the number one and number two pound for pound guys. A bit like Islam versus Topuria right now. But he went in there and he fought one hell of a fight. He gave Islam Makhachev probably the greatest fight. Oh no, absolutely the greatest fight of Makhachev's career. And Makhachev won that by unanimous decision. But he did really good against Makhachev the first go round. A lot of people believe that he won this fight. Um, I would have to go back and watch it to really tell you what I thought about which won which round. But the fact that he went out there and had that close of a fight with Islam Makhachev, who was probably going to be a top five fighter when it's all said and done. I put Makhachev ahead of Khabib. I know he has that one loss, but it's MMA. Losses don't matter. It's how you rebound, and it's who you beat. Makhachev has a better record than Khabib, and I will fight anybody on that. Then he goes down to featherweight again, fights Eddie Rodriguez, TKOs him with the right hook, gets him down, follows it up with ground strikes. Yair beat people in a very, very, very boring fight. Um, but I mean, Yair's very good. They just keep putting him in title shots, even though he doesn't deserve them. And they're probably gonna give him a title shot. Um, and UFC no check against Volkanovski, even though we know that Volk is gonna usually win that fight. But then he ends up fighting Israel Makhachev in October on short notice. Um, who I forgot who Israel was supposed to fight before he fought. Oliveira, yeah, that's right. He was supposed to fight Oliveira. They were gonna have the rematch. Volk stepped in, got head kicked in the first round, and that hurt. And then 4 months later, he ended up going in against Elliot Topuria. Looked good in the first round. Elliot Topuria knocked him out in the second round. Brutally though. And then we saw what Ilya Topuria did to Max Holloway, and now Ilya Topuria is either going to fight Charles Oliveira or Islam Makhachev. Um, that's that was tough to watch as a fan, and when you look at it through his eyes, like you went from being the number two pound for pound fighter in the UFC in the world. Let's face it, whoever the best fighter in the UFC is, 9 times out of 10, that's the best fighter. Francis Ngannou, Fedor Emelianenko, there are, you know, there are exceptions. but not as much as there used to be back in the day. That was a brutal knockout. Everybody talks about it was a short turnaround after being knocked out a weight class above. Maybe Volkanovski took this fight in the summer, later in the spring, even fall. Maybe he wins. Like the the idea of a second Volkanovski fight makes sense before Ilya left the division, and they were going to do it. And there is a legitimate possibility that Volk could beat Ilya Tuporia. What would Volkanovski look like with, time after those knockouts against Ilya Tuporia? We'll never know. So the next best thing was Diego Lopez on a 5-fight win streak. His only loss is to Mafsa Evloev. Mafsa Evloev, though, isn't a big draw. Diego Lopez is. And, that first round happens. Looked really good, man. Looked like the old Wolf. And then Diego knocks him down, and we get a little nervous. But I would say Volkanovski, 80% of that fight looked like old Volkanovski. When he got on top of Diego Lopez, I got excited, right? And, seeing him get back there, win the title once again, be the first fighter above the age of 35 to win a title in a division lightweight or under, or as an underweight, I don't know. That is the starting this what legends are made of. That is why Volkanovski is a top 10 fighter of all time. To come back when everybody thinks you're washed, when everybody thinks your chin is gone, to face that adversity. And when I watched his video talking about the fight, he talked about facing that adversity. It's inspiring, man. We only get a handful of all time great fighters. That's why they're called the greatest of all time. Volkanovski is one of those. And whether we get one more fight from Volk, two, three, hopefully not four, we are watching the greatest featherweight of all time. The debate is there. You got Topuria, obviously, Max, also. He beat two of those three. Well, in Max's case, multiple times. But you only get to see the great fighters for a short period of time. Cherish the next book fight. Probably will be the last. But we witnessed why Volkanovski is the greatest featherweight of all time. By overcoming adversity nobody thought it could. But let me know in the comments, what did you think about Volkanovski's performance at UFC 314? Do you think he's the greatest featherweight of all time? And what does Volkanovski's career mean to you as an MMA fan? Personally, like, I became a hardcore around the time of like DC and Stipe. I've been watching it my whole life, but I wasn't a hardcore. This was one of the trilogies that did it. Volkanovski was one of the fighters that made me a hardcore fan. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Later.